Hey everyone, it's Kino here. Thanks so much for tuning in. It means a lot to me that you are here, not just for the yoga practice videos, but for these little yogi chats. So be sure to like this video and leave me some feedback in the comment section for what you'd like to chat about next time. Yoga for me is the search for meaning, a search for the answers to some of life's deepest questions, and in some ways, the search for truth. The truth about who you are, the truth about what reality is. And one of the long-term goals of yoga is to cultivate the ability to decipher between what is true versus what is untrue. And when I look out in the world today, I feel like we could all really use this power of discrimination, the ability to determine what is true and what is untrue, what is fact, what is fiction, what is real and what is unreal. This is the search for Satya, truthfulness. When we think about truthfulness, sometimes it's in flux. You know, there's subjective truth, and this is something that's true for me and maybe not true for you. Subjective truth is kind of like our opinions. And I don't know about you, but I feel like the world is full of opinions these days. Some opinions masquerade as, objective truth. Subjective truth, remember, is kind of your opinion. It's how you feel about something. It's, your judgment of someone. You could make a character judgment about someone and think about that as truth, but that's actually just your subjective opinion. So it's really important if you're a yoga practitioner to use the tools of your yoga practice to be able to really apply that power of discrimination that you cultivate on the mat into your everyday life so that you can know whether or not you're operating from a subjective truth, an opinion about yourself, an opinion about the world, or something that you know to be definitively 100% true. There are objective truths as well. Objective truths are the truth regardless of what your opinion about them is. A really clear example of what an objective truth would be is that all beings here on the planet are subject to the laws of gravity. If you personally don't like gravity, or if you have an issue with gravity, or if you just don't really like how gravity works, or even if you deny gravity, it really doesn't matter because that's an objective truth. Gravity is a law of nature here on the planet Earth. I don't know about other planets, but gravity is sort of the law of the land here on the planet Earth. And regardless of what you think about gravity, gravity is true. That's a good example, again, of an objective truth. So I want to share with you a concept of finding truthfulness. Finding truthfulness is like finding a clear path of light amidst the darkness. And this is what, again, the yoga practice seeks to cultivate within you. You have to decide for yourself what is an objective truth. Decide for yourself what is a subjective truth. And then allow yourself to make a decision based on your concrete understanding of what is, with the recognition that, hey, we're all human beings on the path and we're all making mistakes, but the idea that your search for truthfulness will lead you into more peace and more happiness is really rooted in what yoga is all about. So I'm talking to you about truthfulness because recently there seems to be a lot of, well, I don't know any other way to say this, untruthfulness in the world. There seems to be a lot of people that have made grand sweeping assumptions about other people and even other systems and other things in general, and then propagate that as absolute incontrovertible truth. Well, unless you saw that with your own two eyes, and even then it's still a subjective experience, it seems to me like we need a little bit of re-education in what is an objective truth and what is a subjective truth. Unfortunately, there seems to be a deterioration of the arbiters of truth. Who is it that gets to decide what is absolutely true and what is not true? We are starting to live in an age where facts are challenged. There are quote-unquote alternative facts that are passed around when we don't like the actual reality of something. The yoga practice would advise you to dig deeper and search for Satya, search for truthfulness, search for a non-subjective truth where your emotions, your preferences, your value judgments are held out of the way. Sometimes we get into the habit of thinking that our subjective truth is actually the moral definitive truth for all beings in all time. And that's delusion, and it's really self-centered and honestly kind of narcissistic. The yoga practice is aimed to make you more compassionate, to open your heart so that you can embrace the subjective truths of other people. This is why dialogue is really important, especially dialogue with people that you don't look like and don't think like you and don't agree with you. When we're able to dialogue with people whose subjective realities are different from ours, it expands our concept of what is true. For example, two people may experience the same interaction and take away two things entirely different. Any of you who are in a relationship could probably identify with what that's like. Sometimes, again, two people can go into a conversation, an experience, and take away two different things. That is the reality of subjective truth. None of that is absolutely true. There's an analogy in the yoga practice and in the yoga philosophy that says that each of us here on this planet Earth are like blind people holding one piece of an elephant. And it's an analogy, so no elephants were harmed in the telling of this story, but a blind person touching one part of an elephant would hold that experiential reality as absolute truth. That's what an elephant is to that person. Well, one's holding the trunk, and one's holding the body, and one's holding the tail, and one's holding one foot, and one's underneath, and one's near the lips, and one's near the face, and so they all have a different experience of that elephant, none of which actually hold the true picture. So who holds the true picture of objective truth? Well, it's not me, and it's not you either. This is something that's relegated to the truth of the universe. And if you have a relationship with God, you could say that it's really only God that knows the absolute definitive truth of all things. And I'm not here to play judge and jury on anyone. I only want to encourage you as a yoga practitioner to dive deeper into the concept of Satya, of truthfulness. How can you as a yoga practitioner go out into the world where there are a preponderance of fake news sites, a myriad of different conflicting sensational headlines that bombard you, people that have put together propaganda to make you think that their subjective reality is an objective truth? How can you find Satya? Well, you have to start with yourself. To find the truth underneath your emotions, your preferences, your value judgments means that you're in alignment with the truth of the universe, with the one true reality. And when you step into that alignment, when you're beyond your preferences, your past projections into the future, your ruminations on the past, and you're really just clear and present, then you're able to step into a powerful view of Satya. So my advice to you, if you feel yourself lost in a sea of untruthfulness, if you can't figure out whether or not some sensationalist headline about one person or another is true, I advise you to dive deeper within yourself. And then here's something interesting. Go on a news fast. Stop reading news, and especially stop reading, fake news websites and extreme websites and politicized websites and even mainstream news websites. Just turn off the news for a few days and then let it all settle so that you can come back to your breath and your body, and you'll find a path. A quiet path, an intuitive path that will lead you into Satya. Satya for yourself, Satya for all beings. The truth of the universe is always aligned with the greater good. And so when you step into that alignment, you know you're in Satya, you know you're in truthfulness. When the conclusions that you draw are really for the benefit of all, that are not too harsh and not too mean, not towards yourself, not towards others, but are truly embracing a path to light, a path to enlightenment, a path to love, and a path to peace. And that's the yoga practice, right? Satya is always measured with an equal part of compassion. And I encourage you to dive as deeply as you can into the spiritual tradition of yoga so that your life will become a happier and more peaceful place. And you can delineate what is true from what is untrue within yourself and within the world. This is a great tool to have in our contemporary age when we're flooded with misinformation and the tools of disinformation. Now, if you can find Satya, you can find a path through the darkness into the light. I encourage you to keep practicing, keep practicing, keep practicing. Thanks for joining, everyone. Namaste.